Hey everybody, you're listening to We Still Like You, the show where people tell you their most embarrassing stories, and then you forgive them. From Batend One Studios in Santa Monica, California, it's the We Still Like You show. Today's guests, comedians Melissa Doran and Josh Ejnes. And now, because obligatory Stormy Daniels joke here, Jesse Batend.
Get it on, gotta get it on, no choice but to get it on. Mandate, get it on.
Oh, that's much better. So, this week, we are beginning the voyage that is our third year of podcasting. Well, actually, no, it's the beginning of the fourth year. What am I talking about? Because that's how years work. You mark them when they're over. So this is the beginning of the fourth year of podcasting. You've been holding on with us, shall we say, for a couple of years. And today we thought we'd present you a couple of stories that maybe make you question your devotion to a show that's all about making people feel bad and then suddenly much better in quick reversal. We have stories about the particular kind of shame that comes from just letting something go or hoping that it's going to change.
If you developed a condition where you started throwing knives at me, that would just mean I'd have to learn to start dodging knives. I said that one-on-one to a person.
We have two stories about holding on to, in this case, relationships. Two very different kind of relationships. In the first story, we deal with a person who is bound to a boss for more than the typical reasons. Yes, he offers her money, but he also offers her support in ways that are kind of unique. And that makes breaking this relationship really hard. We'll hear from a more traditional romantic relationship that has held on way past when it should end. I think they're both really cool stories, both really funny. So first up, this story comes to you from Melissa Doran. She is a stand-up comic who told this back in February in Louisville. And you know how sometimes you're in a position where the only thing holding you is the emotion or the memories that you have with this person. The only thing keeping a relationship together is fear of losing that relationship. This is not a story about that. This is a story about somebody who's kind of put in a bad position and someone offers them a lifeline. Like they give them a little bit of support, right? And then turns out that support comes with caveats. So what do you do? Well, in this story, Melissa Doran does kind of a lot to keep that going. From Louisville, here's Melissa Doran.
My name is Melissa. I'm from New Jersey originally. I live in this area now. I have two kids, two sons, 17 and 13. They're my world. They are my life, right? So a lot of the comedians here know me from my drunken mistakes of hitting on complete shitty comedians. But I actually have a whole world besides that I live, which is taking care of them. So when I was in Jersey and I finally left their dad, that relationship was like 12 years. That was a shitty relationship. I was 19. And Mandy was like, you have to do a shame story. And I'm like, fuck. Because here's what happened. Like literally at my age, it's hard to find shame. Because you don't give a fuck what anyone thinks anymore. Like you're literally like so broken from so many experiences that you're like, shame? Describe what you mean. She's like, what, something you did that you were embarrassed about. Embarrassed? Again. What do you mean by that? She's like, something you wish you didn't do. Again, fuck it. There's nothing that I've done that I wouldn't do again, right? Because if I didn't do them, I wouldn't be here in this basement in Decca failing in front of you guys. So there is a reason, guys, for everything. I do feel like I've learned from my shit. So I had to dig deep, and I was like, where did my shame, like when did I have shame last? That was when I was a kid. That was the last time I had shame. It's my childhood. So long story short, you know, I was always wanting attention, became a comedian, met somebody young, we did our thing, had kids young, and it didn't work out. Big fucking shocker. You know, 19, had my first kid, 20 years old. 6 years later, had his brother. So it didn't work out. 11 years later, I'm a single mom, I'm young, and I've got to figure out what the fuck to do. I'm in Jersey. I've got to figure this out. So I was like, this is it. I'm pulling my shit together. I'm going to be a good mom. I'm going to be like responsible. So I go and I get the job. I put my resume together. I get my outfit together. I nail the fucking interview and I get the job. Like the greatest. It's a manager position. It's got good money, good benefits. I'm going to be able to take care of my kids and I'm stoked. I start this job. I'm like, fuck it. This is me being serious now. So my boss at the time, he was amazing. At the time my dad had passed, you know what I mean? So he was like my patriarch figure, you know, like my mentor. He's an amazing dude. He helped me just cultivate my sales, cultivate my management ability. It was a pretty cool thing. But the thing was, like, for 3 years, his wife watched my kids, guys. Like, she watched them for free because I couldn't afford, you know what I mean? So it was like, what an amazing person. What a great guy. So I just felt really, really happy about that, really proud of that. But it was a hard life, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was dealing with that being a single mom, having the kids, and all that shit was tough. But he was, you know, like, it was a really supportive situation. So he just was like someone I trusted immensely. He always taught me the importance of women and empowerment and how strong we could be in business. And I was like, fuck it, I'm taking this road. So 3 years into the situation, he starts like flirting with me. He starts like hitting on me. That's fucking fucked up. You know what I mean? Like he's like my dad type figure and he's pulling like a weird situation. Like my whole life, I always felt like I would be in this situation. I always felt like I would be very strong. Like I would be like, fuck this. This is sexist. He's taking advantage. Fuck this guy. Needing my job, you know what I'm saying? And needing the benefits and needing the shit. I'm like, fuck. I don't know how to handle this. So even though I was friends with his wife and even though I respected him like a dad, fuck it. What was I going to do? I just kind of was like, all right, he's flirting with me. I don't want to mess with his ego. I need the job. I always had the blanket of, but I'm friends with your wife, so we can't do anything. You know, I could always hide behind that. And that kind of led me through for like a year and a half. That was cool. Until one night we were in Chicago and we were drinking like we had a lot of times on business trips. And we went back to his room and we're in the room drinking and I'm getting ready to jet. Like I'm like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. Like we're getting too loaded. And he's on the bed and all of a sudden out of nowhere he just takes his pants off. Just takes his fucking pants off, dude. Like I was like, what the hell? It's uncomfortable because I had already been avoiding it. You know what I mean? Like I was like, here we fucking go. I've gone too far because I like to drink. I don't like the night dance. So I was like, fuck. So he's got his pants off and he's on the bed and it's like a suite. So I'm on like the couch thing, right? And he's like, does this turn you on? And it didn't, dude. It didn't creep me the fuck out. It did not turn me on. But I don't know what to do. In the situation, I'm not an empowered female. I'm freaking the fuck out. I'm like, I literally said, Like I wasn't like yes or no. I was like, I'm sitting on the couch and I'm just like, And he's already got his pants off, bro. And he's like pitching a little bit of a tent in his boxers. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I gotta get out of this. So then his boxers come off. He takes the boxers off, like seductively even. Like I'm not fucking comfortable. But yet still, this asshat takes his fucking boxers off slowly. Like, I don't want it, but I don't know what to do. So I'm sitting on the thing, I'm like, ugh. And I guess that sound was misleading. Because he was like, yeah. He mistook my ugh. It wasn't an ugh want. It was an ugh, God, please, if you are fucking there, get me the fuck out of here. Kill me, kill him, kill us all. Get me the fuck out of here. So I'm sitting on this couch thing and he takes his boxers off and I turned like 7 years old for 5 whole minutes. I'm like, oh my God, your peepee's out. What are you fucking doing? I can see your thing. It's there, please. So he takes the thing and I'm not saying anything, so I don't know why, but he starts stroking himself. Like he starts like seducing me. But it's not seducing me. I'm terrified, but maybe that's seducing him, right? So he's touching his shit. I'm mortified. In this moment, I'm thinking to myself, how do I get out of this? What do I do? Tell him he's a fucking pig. Tell him he doesn't respect my intellect. Tell him I have more talent than just my tits. But none of that comes out, dude. Like I'm gonna lose my job. I fucking have these kids. Holy fuck, I've painted myself into this corner. So I just say, play it through, dude. Just stare at him. He's not asking me to touch him. He's like, you don't have to touch me. Thank God. So he's like, you don't have to touch me. Just, and I'm like, that's fine. I'll just fucking be quiet and watch you pull your pud and I'll get the fuck out of here and I'll never put myself in this situation again. Lesson learned. Guys, it would turn out I would put myself in that situation many, many, many times after this incident. Side note. So, didn't learn that lesson. So he's doing his thing, and I'm thinking, okay, it's got to end like somewhat soon, right? So then he's like, I want you to talk to me. And this is real, and I'm like, oh my God, no. Like, I can't. So I don't know what to say. He's like, I want you to talk to me. He says it again, I want you to talk to me. So I'm like, so I go, what do you want me to say? So this is what he wants me to say, and I've never before or after dealt with this in my life, and this is why I picked this as my shame story, because I'm still embarrassed the fuck about it. He's like, tell me I have a small cock. What? We've never been naked together, and you're fucking right into a fetish situation? Are you serious? Only rich dudes, dude. This is crazy. So he's like, tell me I have a small, and then he did have a small cock, but I didn't feel comfortable saying it, you know what I mean? That's weird. So he's like, tell me I have a small, and I'm like, I don't, and I couldn't say anything. He's like, tell me you hate me. Tell me I'm terrible. He is literally into degradation. He's like, tell me I'm terrible, I'll come. All I wanted him to do at that point was come, not out of arousal, just I wanted it to fucking be done, right? But I couldn't, like, guys, I'm a mom. I've had a hard life, like it's a social worker in me. I can't, in that moment, I become like his big sister, like his mother, like his fucking social worker. I'm like, you're not that bad. Not what he wanted to hear. But he's still trying, he's like, I see he's wincing, like that's not right. And I'm like, so I just shut up and he's like, just tell me I'm terrible. Tell me you hate me. So I pause, I'm like, I mean, sometimes you're a little overbearing at work, but you're great. He is not into it, dude. He's like, so he stops. He's like, no, okay, I know I'm not bad. I know that. That's not the thing here. It's a fantasy. And I'm like thinking, well, fuck you, dude. Whose fantasy? Not mine. I just want to go home and eat chicken wings and go to fuck the bed. And he's like, it's a fantasy. And I'm like, okay, all right. But now I'm like, I feel like a failure, right? So now he's like pushing on some of my mom shit. I'm like, fuck, all right. So he's like, I'm like, I could try it again. I'm like, try it again. I can do it. I can do it. So he's like, all right. So he starts again. And I'm way too involved. I'm way too in at this point. And he's doing the thing. And I'm like, you're fucking gross. And he's like getting turned on. He's getting like really into it. And that just freaked me the fuck out. Because like I laughed a little bit. I was like, oh my God. He's like, did you laugh? I was like, because your cock is so small. So then he starts really getting into it. At some point, I lost my shit, guys. Like, it was cathartic as fuck. Like, I was just berating the shit out of this dumb motherfucker. This is a real thing. I was in my late 20s, I had kids, and I just went fucking off. I was like, you're a loser, you're a scumbag, your cock is small, my father was terrible, why did my mom not love me? Why the fuck am I poor? Why do I have kids that are ruining my life? Like, I just started talking about shit that was just uncomfortable for everybody. And he just fucking was going crazy. Like, he just loved it. So, I feel like I got you guys as far. Moral of the story, he did finish the situation. He finished it, right? Moral of the story, of course, Chicago is lovely during the spring. I recommend it.
How did that job end? Like,
That's a good question. I actually worked there for another year and a half, and it was very, very uncomfortable. That's how it was. Like, it wasn't cool. I moved to Indiana to fucking avoid that shame. So here we are. Yeah, we never did that again. And I think him in his sober moments realizing that he shared with me such a dark fucking fetish wasn't the same friendship it had been before he let me know that he hates himself. Yeah, he hates his cock. That was a weird thing.
Melissa Doran. Up next, Josh Ejnes promised he'd marry her. Now he's not so sure. For this next story, comedian Josh Ejnes told a really great story about just an epically bad relationship that seems to never die. There were red flags right from the beginning. He'll walk us all the way through the history of this strange relationship. And then at the end of this story, something kind of cool happens. I don't want to give it away, but hang out till the end. I promise you won't be disappointed. So, from Chicago, comedian Josh Ejnes.
Have any of you guys ever been like in a situation where you're in a relationship and you think you can fix or save somebody? Tight. Well, that's the right sound for it, so I believe you. It's great. I did that once. Here's the story. Last year, I was in this class. It was a screenwriting class, and there's this girl in it, and I was like, oh, she seems very nice. So we went out on a date, and then we made out and watched the Oscars, and I was like, okay, this is cool. This is great. And then I walked her home that night, and I got this long text from her, and she's like, hey, I had a really fun time, but I think I need to be upfront with you that I have like really bad depression, anxiety issues, and I don't think I'm ready for anything more than this right now. And that's when like every romantic movie I'd ever seen kicked in my head, and I was like, I'm what she needs. This is great. So that night I set up a time for us to both skip class the next day to take a walk across the lakeshore. Because I had seen those movies. And I gave a speech that was like from those movies about how I saw through everything and I connected with her. And I was like, I also have mental illness. And she's like, won't that make it harder? And I was like, no. No. I get you. We get each other. I kissed her in the Dr. Seuss art gallery at Water Place Tower. Yeah. And I was like, this will be healthy. This will be good. One thing about this girl was that she was addicted to Xanax. And about a month into us like kind of seeing each other, not even officially dating, while on 3 bars of Xanax, she told me that she loved me. And like, that's a state you should not be operating a motor vehicle under. And this girl was like, I love you. And I was like, perfect. I love you too. A month later, I told her that I could see myself marrying her someday. While she was on 3 bars of Xanax. It was not a pattern I had seen as problematic yet. So we're like in this deep relationship, and then I have sex with her. It's the first time I ever have sex. And she tells me that she's barren, so I don't need to wear a condom. And that is how I lost my virginity and got chlamydia in the same night. Which is great. I think that's pretty cool. So we're off to a hot start. It was amazing. Great relationship. I went from like never having had sex to having sex like 5 times a day, and we wouldn't talk much, and I was like, this is fine. This is certainly healthy. And the depression stuff would happen, and she'd have like episodes like, you know how depression works, and like when someone needs space, how can you save them? You know, so I wouldn't give her the space as in the savior. This is a true thing that happened at one point. She was like, I feel like my depression makes things worse for you, which it did. And I was like, no. And then I looked at her and I said, if you developed a condition where you started throwing knives at me, that would just mean I'd have to learn to start dodging knives. I said that one-on-one to a person. It's wild, man. It was, things really came to a head about like 4 months in. She actually had to go to a psychiatric hospital, which I think was good. It was like important for her to do that. It was her decision, but I really took credit for it in my head. She went there. But then here's the thing. She had a very messed up family situation. She did not want her family to know she was there. And she told me that keeping it a secret from her family was my job. Yeah. And what I found is that when you're keeping it a secret, your girlfriend you care a lot about is in the hospital. To a concerned family, it sounds a lot like you're trying to keep it a secret that you murdered your girlfriend. Because legitimately, I had her phone. I was pretending to be her on her phone. There'd be a visiting hour. There'd be an hour-long window where I could visit her, and we'd catch each other up to speed, and I'd text people pretending to be her. She had to go look at an apartment showing. I had to take her phone, text the lady, tell her she had a stomach bug, and that I would be going in from her phone. And I had to go in there, and the lady was like, "Oh, so sorry to hear about her. Is her stomach okay?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, her stomach's fine." And the police got called on me. Which is fair because I sounded a lot like a murderer. I was doing a lot of murdery things with two phones pretending to be somebody. So that's fair. The police got called on me. I explained the thing to them. And she got out. And I was like, okay. Not understanding what I know now about mental health, I was like, well, she went in. She's out. It'll be fine now. And what happened was they did get her to stop doing pills like Xanax. But if you have an addictive personality and you need drugs, you'll find something. And she started legitimately smoking an eighth of weed or more a day. Well, for some people it's chill, but the thing, she didn't have a job at the time, and I was like, I'm a boyfriend. She's in need of money. Another chance to be a savior. And I probably spent about $1,000 giving this girl money that was spent on weed, which I didn't think could happen with weed. It was crazy. But then these things would happen. When I was in middle school, I had these self-harm issues where I'd punch myself in the head. And I started doing that again. And I was like, this is bad. This relationship is bad for both of us. I need to end this. Right? And I'd have that thought, and then she'd come up to me, and she would be like, this relationship is bad for both of us. Do you think we should end it? And I would be like, no. I love you. Because when you say you love someone, there is the love for them. You care about that person, but then there also is the little bit of you that's I told this person that I'm going to marry them. And I can't just not. Have you ever been that wrong about something? I just couldn't handle that. So we kept it rolling. And I started seeing a therapist because I started to hit myself again. And then my therapist was like, this relationship sounds bad. And I was like, you're bad. And then I stopped seeing the therapist. And it went on for a while. And then we broke up for an hour. I didn't even get out of her apartment. We got back together. And there's this crazy period where I was like, maybe we're having too much sex. And that's the problem. So we're gonna slow it down, start doing traditional date night. And we start going to the movies. I also drove with her. We'd been dating for 4 months. I told her I was gonna marry her. I drove 12 hours to her sister's graduation. And when we got to her family's house, she was like, I don't think we should be dating anymore. But I think we should hold it together through this weekend. And we would go and look at the stars, and we felt closer, and I was like, oh, the stars are good. We need the stars. So when we got back to Chicago, I planned this thing. She likes the stars. There's not stars in the city. What can I do? I wrote this. Didn't tell her where we were going. I just told her we were going for a surprise. I wrote down the address to this field where you're supposed to see the stars really good. It's 2 hours outside the city. And we're driving there. We stop about an hour out at this Sonic. And then we break up again in the parking lot of that Sonic. And I don't know if you've ever had to break up with somebody and then drive them an hour home. But it's a really interesting conversation. So we drove back. We were just talking about well, we were wrong. We were wrong. It was bad. It was a bad relationship. We can admit it now. We're in this headspace where that's fine. And then when she kisses me goodbye, she says, don't say goodbye. Say see you later. And I was like, I've seen this scene. This is great. And we start hooking up again 2 weeks later. We're back together. She's borrowing money from me. I'm driving her places. It's wild, yeah. And then I go into my senior year. She goes into her next year of school. She's taking one class, and she fails out. And she texts me. She sends me a picture of some pictures of us in a poem I wrote her. And she says, "Hey, I'm moving. I just found these pictures, and I can't bring myself to throw them away unless you tell me that we'll never be together again. So what should I do?" And I was like, "You should hold on to those photos." Yeah. Yeah, so she moves to LA, and I don't talk to her again. We're like, this isn't healthy. We're not going to talk. And then one day around Christmas, I see a mutual friend's Snapchat story. Great. That she's in. And she always had this thing. I had an Android phone, and she always make fun of it, and I'd recently gotten my first iPhone. And I hadn't talked to her for like 3 months. And I text her and I say, "Hey, check out the blue bubble." And she goes, "Do you want to have sex?" And I was like, "Yes." "Yes, please." And I leave. I was hanging out with my friends at a show. I leave the show immediately, take a lift to her hotel. And she had sex with me. We have sex and we're laying there, and she goes, "I still think about us getting married." Because of an idea I had planted in her head after knowing her for 2 months. And then here's the "we still like you" part. So we part ways. I'm in a very emotionally bad spot at the time. I'd quit drinking for a while. I got blackout drunk one night. And I start hitting on her best friend through text message. And it just so happened to be the day before her birthday. And the next day I was like, okay, we're on good terms now, you know. I text her and I say, "Hey, happy birthday." And she goes, "Emily sent me the screenshots." And I was like, "Sure." Sure. Yeah, it was bad. I backed down. It's not a defensible act. I'm like, "That's it." It's like, maybe it's best we don't talk. And go, "Yeah, I agree." And then the last thing that happens is a couple months after that, so like pretty recently, I get a text from her. It's 4 p.m. She lives in LA, so it's like, what, 2 p.m. there? Is that how that works? Cool. Very good. It's 2 p.m. there, and it just says, "Hey, I want you to know I'm still like WTF about how you hit on my best friend, but I still think about how we're going to get married someday." And I was like, "I think we should talk about this another time." And we still talk sometimes. Okay, thank you.
Keep it going for Josh Ejnes, everybody. Here, you hold on to that. Do we have any questions? How long has this been going on? Yeah, how long has this saga been?
So we started dating like last March, and we broke up in August, and the last time we talked was like about a month ago. Yeah, I think not now, but I also wish I had answered quicker. You know? Yeah.
We got one last question for Josh right back there. How much money did the leader number right now?
Hey, I can just do it. Yeah. Oh my God.
All right, let's get the play-by-play here. He has pulled out his phone, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, it's Android. I don't know this interface at all. All right. Delete it. Delete it. Oh, it's from Tim.
Josh, do you have that number memorized?
How did I do that?
Block it.
He just deleted it, y'all. It's over. Josh is free! And we have some live art. We played off your relationship just then. We played off that whole thing. Here, let me read this for you. Roses are red, violets are pretty. Yeah, Josh lost his virginity but gained his chlamydia. It's a slant rhyme, but it works for us. All right. Let's get Josh some horrible cake vodka and applaud his, he's free now. Let's applaud the fact that Josh is a free officer. Keep it going for Josh Ejnes, everybody. Man, that was a genuinely really cool little moment we just shared right there. That was a lot.
Comedian Josh Ejnes. And that does it for this episode of We Still Like You. Thank you for holding on with us till the end. That was corny, doesn't matter. I don't have time to re-record this. If you guys enjoyed the show, do me a huge favor. Tell your friend about it. Tell your mom about it. Share it on Facebook or even write us a review. Any one of those things does a ton. All of them makes me want to marry you. If you really want to support the show, check out patreon.com/we still like you. You can drop us a couple bucks a month, you'll get something in exchange, and you'll keep the show going. Of course, if you have an embarrassing story you want to tell, send us an email at westilllikeyou@gmail.com, and we'll get in touch about how to do the show. Check out our website, westilllikeyou.com, to find out how you can come and watch one of the live tapings in any of the cities that we do it in: Chicago, Louisville, Denver, and now LA. I'm Jesse Batend, and until next time, thank you for listening. From Batend One Studios in Santa Monica, California. Oh, fuck.